Community schools resource coordinator. Why is it so important to have a community school rather than just a public school? In many cases, most schools are identified on how successful they are with a grading scale. And on these grading scales, we get very typical, or we use a very typical score, such as 90 is an A, 80 is a B, 70 is a C. When we go ahead and look at the overall scores, and this is public information, so you can get this from the Department of Public of Instructions, which is called DPI in the state of Wisconsin. And the information is going to be here for anyone to look a little closer at it. But as we go farther into our scores and why it is so important that we keep these scores, we can understand some of the averages and the achievement gap. From the K through 5 statewide, our average score is roughly at about 70%. That is below average, or that is mediocre. And then we go ahead and compare it to Jefferson Elementary School, and we're sitting at 64%. Now that score is even below the average score at for our statewide school. And if you want to go ahead and put those into real life applications, if you're looking at a master builder, that means that when they're looking at the blueprint, they're retaining 60% of the work that they're doing. Or if you want to get real technical and you look at a surgeon, that means 60% of their practice of medicine is being retained when they are either doing a life operation or they are just practicing medicine. Now, what can we do to increase these scores, or how I would say is strategies on how to broaden the educational opportunities for our students. Our strategies. To imply culturally relevant education, which is also shortened as CRE. So what is culturally relevant education? It is a powerful method, pedagogy for increasing student achievement and engagement for reducing achievement gaps. It intentionally focuses on the current events and also relevant information regarding one student's families and integrated into the information and the curriculum. Some of the opinions and anecdotal data that we have is in 2013, students of color grew by 50%, and by 2025, 54% of all our students will be students of color. And what this CRE does is it refers to helping students to recognize and honor their own culture and beliefs, practices, while acquiring access to wider cultural education. What it does is, because students are more engaged, there's higher interest in the subject that they're studying. There's a feeling belonging, culturally become competent because of the promotion of culture and heritage. One of the real life practical applications that I used was the Guide for White Women Who Teach Black Boys by Eddie Moore Jr., Ellie Michael, and Margaret Pennant Parks. And I used this in the city of Milwaukee. Now, as you know, the city of Milwaukee is a very, hello Jax. It's a very diverse city and very segregated city. And I had the opportunity to be at Alexander Hamilton High School, and I used this real life application, which is CRE. And how I would come with this case study is to see if culturally relevant education would really work to ensure in our schools is by taking a longitudinal study with 2 cohorts and 2 subgroups. What we would do prior to that is take a survey, take the grades, attendance, behavior, social, emotional well-being, and parent-guardian participation. Some of the variables will be Group A receives a CRE in the 2 years that we follow them, and it will be exactly the same cohort. Group B does not integrate culturally relevant education, same with the same studies. And again, we will take surveys, grades, attendance, behavior, and parent-guardian participation. Some of the errors or margin of errors that we can already think of, or that I can already think of, is students might move, students might not be in the same classroom, Those are some of the margin of errors that definitely took a look at. And with that, with a case study of strategies, we want to use that in our community schools to really have culturally relevant education for our community schools resource coordinators in order for students to be more successful with their education and in the future. And thank you, and these are the references.